I've been leading these bat walks for, I think I did my first one here in 2013. So it's a brilliant place for bats. We've recorded at least 6 species of bat over the years that we've been doing these walks, and there are 18 species in Britain, 15 species in Kent. So actually 6 species is quite a respectable total for here. Given that it's ex-industrial, you've got habitats that are still developing. There's a lot of the scrub is yet to be woodland, but it's what makes it really good for bats is the mix of trees and water, and wherever you get that combination, you do get a lot of wildlife. It's great for birds here, particularly. As the birds go to bed, the bats come out. And there are a number of different species. We've got the smallest species in Britain here, and that's the pipistrelles. So there are 3 species of pipistrelle, and all 3 species are found here. The smallest one is the common pipistrelle, and they're the one that most likely you will have seen in your headlights as you've been driving, or perhaps in your garden if you're lucky enough to have them sitting around your garden. And then this is our largest species. This is the nocturnal bat, which is also found here, and but it should have a tail membrane between its legs, but that's been lost over the years. But this is the reason I sort of brought this here is just to give you an idea of size, but also scale, and just how amazing their structure is. So they're a mammal. They raise their young on milk. They give birth to live young, and they're actually more closely related to the carnivore and ape side of the tree as opposed to rodents. But we think of them as being as flying mice, really, because they're small and furry, and certainly an old English name for them was the flittermouse, and many translations across Europe translate as the flittermouse. So or flying. Feel free to have your torch on. So to turn the detector on, there's a little wheel on the right hand side, which you just click down. It sort of moves down, clicks, and then you keep scrolling until you hear like a shushy sound. You will pick up mobile phones, I must warn you, grasshoppers and crickets. So do bear that in mind, and it probably won't be long before we find our first bats with these now on. We've heard across quite a wide bandwidth, but they're loudest at a certain frequency, and that's one of the ways we can identify them. Oh, that's a nocturnal. The pipistrelle sounds. That's a pipistrelle. That's a common pipistrelle we're hearing. So the common pipistrelle is loudest at 45 kilohertz. And that sort of sounds like popping, like bubbles popping really fast, or someone clapping really fast. So that's excellent, okay. So so if you could put your detector up to 45 kilohertz, that is the common pipistrelle for the loudest part of the bandwidth. That's sort of far to be. It varies on the species, but it tends to be about sort of 30 to 50 metres. Okay. So that's a reasonable distance. Yeah. So a nocturnal could be over by that the dead trees over there. Yeah. And you could be picking it up over there. Okay, yeah.
Are these devices directional then?
They tend to be quite directional. So you will pick them up, but as you do move them slightly sort of in their direction, they are slightly louder, but slightly clearer. But because of how quickly they move, it's sometimes difficult. They weigh about the same as a £2 coin. and the smaller, with their wings closed, they will fit into a small matchbox. That's how small they are. Really, really small. So, I mean, my bat detector on my iPad here, a pipistrelle with its wings closed, is smaller than that.
Blimey.
Wow.
It's about the same, they fit snugly onto your thumb. So that sort of bend of your thumb with your nail, they fit quite snugly on there.
Yeah.
Noctules, on the other hand, would fill with the palm of your hand. So there's quite a difference. So pipistrelles are midge and mosquito hunters, and that's probably why it's above us.
There's a lot there.
Oh, great. So that
Well
was,
done. I've seen one, I'm happy.
they're doing very well for common pipistrelle. That's another common pipistrelle. Very addictive. It's amazing what noise is microwave and it's just freezing.
It's not that heavy, that I flip between, as we're walking, I'm going between 20 and 40, see what you can pick up. No, I don't think Dad would have been able to do that. They have little things
It's a UFO.
Yeah, basically
Are they, for want of a word, loving parents?
they're very loving.
Yeah.
So they give birth in the maternity roosts, they give birth in family groups. And bearing in mind that bats can live into their 20s, 30s, 40s, they can be several generations next to each other giving birth.
Is there a hierarchy?
A slight, yeah. So the older, the great grandparents are in the middle,
Oh, right.
and the youngsters are on the
But
outside.
is it female male? Is it matriarch?
It's all purely. So they very much keep themselves to themselves.
Yeah, one right there. Oh my god, that was close. Yeah.
Keep themselves to themselves, but they only meet in the autumn, which is the mating season.
Right, I've got you.
So a little bit like deer, with where they have the males set up they have a harem, and he's bellowing and roaring to try and impress the females. The male bats find their favourite roost site and start shouting very loudly around that
like
roost
all
site,
males,
a bit like.
A few beers.
and just basically attracting a group of females. Yeah.
Giving it loud. Yeah.
So do they stop mainly in trees if they're in flight and they then want to stop? They land mainly in trees?
They are mainly in trees. Yeah, mainly in trees. They will fly for a bit, then they'll rest in a tree somewhere to digest their food, and they'll go out and feed again. Pipistrelles fall at a slightly higher pitch than the common pipistrelle, and actually tend to be more associated with water, and we tend to see more sopranos here at Leybourne Lakes compared to common. Of course, this evening so far we've had mostly common, which has been really interesting. So obviously they don't read the books. So that was the Soprano.
Oh, is it?
We've got a Daubenton's over the lake here. So we've got a different species here called a Daubenton's bat, which is actually holds the record of Britain's oldest bat. It's 38 years old. But Daubenton's bats are what we class as water bats, and they fly very low over the surface of the water. And so I'm going to use the torch to just scan over the water to see if we can find them. What they're doing is they're picking up insects. In the spring they'll pick up tadpoles and small fish. So they're sort of an aquatic bat really. But and this is their way of not competing too much with the other bats around them. There it is. There's another one.
Another one? He goes in, didn't he?
Another one. Yeah, he did. And there's another one.
Oh,
They don't dive in as such. What they're using is they're using their tail membrane as little buckets. Like little nets.
Guys, do you want to come and touch us? Sorry. You're right up there.
There's two over there, so I'm right.
Oh, it's not cold.
Two there. There is a Daubenton's over there. So these pick up they pick up like almost like a very fast flicking, dolphin like flicking. Not as poppy or flappy. Oh, look at this! So those are the pipistrelles. The pipistrelles we're hearing flying overhead, Soprano pipistrelles. Not really, no. I mean, I think the only time we made that ever would happen is if you disturb a roost, and they all, all sort of leave at the same time. Yeah, actually flying around us, their echolocation is so good, so highly fine-tuned that certainly I've never met anyone that's been hit by one.
There's a lot out there. 3 or 4, right?
Your camera picked them up?
Yeah, there's 4 of them. It's because there's a bit of light sky there.
Yeah.
It's not completely right. It's right in the sense that they're fully protected, and it's illegal to intentionally or unintentionally disturb them or kill them. You can do things, but unfortunately you would just need to abide by the law. You would need to have an ecologist present whilst the works were done, and for a mitigation to be done. So a compensatory roost site needs to be supplied. So you can actually do stuff, but you just need to go through the right channels. Yeah, basically. But yeah, because they do have the sort of the image of a creature that holds up development and stuff like that, which they can certainly delay things, but you can work around them and work with them. It's just, and the reason that they are protected is because they've declined hugely over the last 100 years, and they are under threat for a variety of things. They are declining because of waking up too early and from hibernation. They're declining because of insect decline, and then there's also the changes that we do to our countryside, removing a hedgerow or blocking up our, putting new fascias around our. They turn up one day and think, oh, where's my home? But yeah, that's why the protection's there, just so that they're considered, basically. They're recognised, and yeah, they are fully protected. That's great, isn't it? There's at least maybe 4, maybe more.
Really clear, look, this one is good. Very clear. That must be very fast, that's the problem. I think we missed it. Put it in the sweat room.
Lazy, isn't it? You get like a wave of it. Yeah.
Maybe they can look at Facebook, didn't they? They can sit on your thumb.
Yeah. Yeah, when they're flying, the size is really deceiving.
Yeah.
They kind of have a wingspan similar to, say, like a sparrow. The smallest bat in the world is the bumblebee bat, which you find in Thailand. And they are literally, I mean, it's like the size of the bumblebees that you see in the garden, or you know, sort of the equivalent of, you know, like the rubber at the end of the pencil, including that metal bit that holds it in place. And then you've got the largest bat, which is the Australian fruit bat, the flying fox. That has a 1.7 metre wingspan and is the size of a small terrier, like a Jack Russell. Jack Russell with big head, with a big cape flying past him.
I don't know how they vary so much.
So there's over 1,400 species of bat in the world, and they're the second largest group of mammals, family of mammals, after the rodents. So they're a very successful group of mammals, despite this weird, this sort of strangeness about them. You know, that they come out at night, they fly, they live for a long time, despite being so small. They are amazing little creatures, and they've got, and they see the world using sound. So all these little raspberries we're hearing are them catching an insect.
Oh, really?
So every one of those, they're sort of, that's their, they just filled their belly.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Slow down.
That one.